Welcome to the Motormouth YouTube channel. I'm Zach.
I'm Andrea.
And just recently we put out our J.D. Power 3-year dependability study video, and we talked about all the winners. We got so caught up in all the cars that are above the industry average. You know what we forgot to do?
We forgot to do the ones below. And some of you were asking, what about the ones below? What happened? Who's last on the list?
That's honest, we forgot. So we said, well, we'll do another video. And we're going to focus on, well, we'll talk about the ones at the top, but we'll also focus on the ones below average.
Yeah, so let's just do a quick recap of the study and what it's all about. This is the 36th dependability study for J.D. Power. It's for 2025, and it focuses on real people. First owner of 2022 models, J.D. Power follows them for 3 years and asks specific questions. They cover 184 problem areas in 9 categories, and those categories are climate, driving assistance, technology, powertrain, driving experience, exterior, interior, seats, and features, controls, and displays as one category. J.D. Power got responses from over 34,000 owners.
So these are 3-year-old cars we're talking about here. This is not the initial quality study. That comes out later in the year around summertime. So we can quickly go through again the vehicles that are above average, then we'll focus on the below average. The number 1 brand overall, and this is a three-peat, is Lexus.
And just behind Lexus is Buick in second spot.
Third is Mazda.
Fourth is Toyota.
Cadillac is 5th.
6th is Chevrolet.
GMC is 7th.
8th is Porsche.
BMW is 9th.
Mini is 10th.
Kia is 11th.
And Honda rounds out our top 12.
So those are all the brands that are above the industry average, followed new owners for 3 years in all the categories Andrea just mentioned. And you got a direct comment from somebody saying what?
Yeah, from Instagram, that they were contacted by J.D. Power when they bought a new vehicle and also followed along for 3 years and gave their information.
And your mom was as well.
Same with my mom.
So these are real people, real cars. And what I like about J.D. Power is it's not like Consumer Reports where it's people who subscribe to their service. So these are just random owners, and they fill out the survey over 3 years.
And one of the key findings of this survey is that connectivity is still a problem. Things like Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, Bluetooth connectivity, Wi-Fi. And although these owners were offered software updates to fix the issue, 56% said that they did them, but they didn't see much of a change.
There you go. All right. We're going to start the other way around. We're not going to go to one all the way to the end. We're going to start at the bottom and work our way up to the industry average. So all of these brands are below the industry average.
In last place, 30th spot, is Volkswagen. And we did a little digging. For 2022, Volkswagen had a lot of new launches. First off, Taos was introduced. There was a stop sale on that model right at the beginning, if you remember. Also, GTI, Golf R. There was a refresh on Tiguan.
And they also had to deal with all the ID4 issues. So if you remember, ID4 was introduced. There was a lot of software issues that they had to deal with for their first electric platform. And the GTI and the Golf R had problems with steering wheels. They had to replace steering wheels and infotainment screens. So they're at the bottom of the list. It'll be interesting to see if they stay there.
In 29th spot is Chrysler.
Jeep is in 28th spot. And in 27th spot is Audi. Same issue with Audi that Volkswagen has. Electrification platform introduced, lots of software issues. That's why we believe, we're not getting this from J.D. Power, that's our speculation why they're near the bottom.
Yeah, Q4, you've got an e-tron, and also the A3 and S3 came out that year. 26th spot goes to Land Rover.
At number 25 is Mitsubishi. That was the first year for the latest Outlander.
In 24th spot, it's Acura, and that is when the brand launched the brand new MDX.
In 23rd spot is Mercedes-Benz. Same thing with Audi and Volkswagen. They've all rushed in new electric vehicles, the EQ platform, the EQS, the EQS SUV, a bunch of vehicles under the EQ banner, and it didn't all go swimmingly.
No, I mean, the great thing about this report is that EVs and gas models, that gap between them for dependability has improved, which is great news. But hybrids are still number one. That's where you have the most dependability. In 22nd spot, it goes to Volvo. And that's the year they introduced the Google Android-based infotainment system.
Ram is in 21st spot.
And Hyundai takes 20th spot. And that was a big year for Hyundai. They introduced the Ioniq 5, new Tucson, and also there was a refresh on the Kona.
In number 19th spot is Lincoln.
Nissan takes 18th.
In 17th spot is Genesis, and that was also the first year for their mainline GV70 compact SUV.
Subaru takes 16th spot. That year there was the launch of the new WRX and BRZ. The Forester and Outback were refreshed and a Wilderness model was added.
One of our favorites in 15th spot is Alfa Romeo.
Infiniti, 14th.
Ford is at number 13, and that's just below the industry average.
So believe it or not, Ford is actually really happy about these results because Ford has jumped 10 spots compared to the 2024 dependability study by J.D. Power. And Ford knows that there are issues with reliability, and that year in 2022 Maverick came out, but they also had a lot of new releases in 2021, including the Bronco and the Bronco Sport.
So those would spill over to 2022.
Exactly.
I just heard you talking dirty, Andrea. You said Maverick. I love me a Maverick. So it's interesting to see the brands that are above the industry average and those that are below the industry average. There are some favorites that are below industry average, like Subaru, for example. And then there's some well above the industry average, like Chevrolet and Buick, where a lot of people, they just don't believe it. And what I always say, Andrea, is, are brands never allowed to change?
Yeah.
Like people say, I don't trust this because I think Chevy makes whatever, terrible cars, whatever people say online. And I write back and I say, are they never allowed to change? Are they always doomed to be terrible cars? And I think that no, brands can change.
Or I owned a Ford in 1985 and I'll never drive one again. A lot has changed along the way. And believe it or not, these new vehicles are much more reliable than they have ever been. So I think that these studies, you take what you need and then you leave the other stuff. You can drill down more, find out a little bit more about each study that comes out, whether it's from J.D. Power, Consumer Reports, Repair Pal. There are lots of options out there. And I also think talking to real owners, like sometimes when you watch our YouTube channel and people chime in and we are doing, let's say, a Volvo, and then they write in and they say, look, I've owned 5 Volvos. They have been really good to me.
It's interesting you bring that up because just this morning, we read the comments every morning, and one was on an Alfa Romeo video that we did. We love Alfas because of the way they drive. And he wrote in there, 8 years I've owned an Alfa Romeo and not one problem. So that's just anecdotal. The other one that we get in the comment section is this is all bought and paid for by the manufacturers.
Yeah.
We explained in the last video, J.D. Power commissions the survey. They pay for the survey over 3 years, and then they sell, like Andrea mentioned, there's 190 different questions they ask, something like that. So they sell that.
184.
184. Let's round it to 190. They sell that information to the car manufacturers because they want third-party impartial data to make their cars better. So they pay for that. It's not the other way around. And my answer to that is, well, Lexus is number 1. Does that mean that Lexus paid the most money?
No. And why doesn't Land Rover pay more?
Or why does
move up on the list?
If Volkswagen's in last spot, they're the second biggest car company in the world. They got the money. Why don't they just pay to move up the ranks? It's not the way it works.
It's not the way it works. And I have to say, you know, Ford USA, they really jumped on this study immediately. Once it came out on their website, they basically said, look, reliability or dependability has improved for us. We have jumped 10 spots in the 2025 dependability study by J.D. Power. They also added, although Lincoln isn't in a great spot,
It's getting better,
did jump 6 spots compared to 2024. This is a big deal for a manufacturer that has been plagued by reliability issues.
You'll also, just to wrap this up, you'll also see that when brands bring in new technology like new infotainment screens, that can sink them quickly. They can go like this. They're cruising along with good quality, and then they bring out new in-dash technology, and that sinks their quality score. Then it takes them a while to build it back up. And a lot of this is based on all of the stuff in the dashboard, and brands that get that right often score better.
And the Honda Civic came out in 2022, and we have viewers who would reach out and say, this infotainment system, it's glitchy, it's not working properly, goes into the shop. If JD Power is following an owner like that, they are going to complain about it.
All right, so if you missed the initial video we did, I'll put the link in the description, and I'll put it up here as well. And thanks for watching, right?
Yeah, and if you like what you see, subscribe. We'll see you next time.